favorite podcast, everybody. My name is Carolyn, and we have such a treat for you this week and this coming summer. As I mentioned last episode, we are expanding Girls Unscripted. We are making our family bigger, stronger, more connected, more warrior-esque. And we have brought in the expert Bachelor know-it-all herself, Grace Douglas. Please introduce yourself, Grace. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how awesome I am. Go.
You're so beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Your skin looks amazing
Thank
today.
you. Thank you so much.
Gabbers, I am so thrilled to be here. This is my dream job. I'm living my dream right now. Thank you so much. My name is Grace Douglas. I have seen every episode of every season in this franchise. I'm going to start there. That feels appropriate. Carolyn did say that she and I knew each other from high school and that I was her maid of honor. That is not true. I am a stranger from the internet. I commented enough times on the Instagram and she brought me on.
Found her on Craigslist and her interview was impeccable and brought her here.
I am so deeply obsessed with this show. To be here talking about it is such a dream. A quick run through of my CV, just so you guys know, Gabbers.
What's your CV?
Curriculum vitae, my resume, babe.
Oh, that's embarrassing. Is it not CL? Cover letter?
A cover letter is different from your resume.
I'm unemployed. Let's keep going.
So I am an unscripted TV producer. I have never worked on The Bachelor because I say never meet your heroes. I have produced a lot of other television shows. Just to give you an idea, I've done a little bit of everything. Shows that people might have heard of or content that people might have heard of. I've done a couple true crime shows. There was one on Netflix called Worst Roommate Ever.
Worst roommates ever.
It was about Carolyn Elizabeth.
It's about me. We've lived together probably like 7 years total or something. 5? I don't know years, but we've lived together a long time. We don't currently still live together because I'm married.
She's married.
But we do joke that she is a sister wife and we are in a plural.
I am a part of your marriage.
Plural situation. You know that TikTok where it's like do 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 and Steve do 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 Steve
And Grace.
Yeah. Meet Steve. Okay, sorry. Keep interrupting. I'm like the excited
Nope.
mom showing her daughter.
I'm a sister wife. You're a stage mom. So I work in all kinds of documentaries, and I have read, another thing you should know about me is I have read every book and every memoir by everyone in this franchise, save for Chris Harrison's fiction novel, The Perfect Letter. I have it on my shelf, but I haven't read it yet.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Really quickly, I want to give you guys a list of words that do not describe me, so you will get an idea of exactly who I am.
Great.
Number 1, subtle. I'm not.
She's not that.
Indifferent. Your girl always has an opinion. Brief. No one's ever accused me of that.
Right.
One thing that's important for me to go over is I'm not bilingual. I don't want to lead anyone on. I only speak one language. Last thing that's important to me, I'm not board certified by any board anywhere.
Oh, you're talking about work done if you comment on people's faces.
Also, like if I comment on their medical diagnosis or their psychological diagnosis.
Right. This is a
any legal advice.
disclaiming.
I am not certified in any way.
Except for The Bachelor.
Except for The Bachelor.
I remember in high school AP American history, Grace would like talk about,
That's right.
oh my God, she would bring up Bachelor episodes. I mean, and this was what, 2007, 8? And she'd be like, well, the Constitution is very similar to this episode of The Bachelor that Joe had to decide between, like, I don't even know.
You're not wrong.
Then. And I was like, she's obsessed with this show. And little did I know that we would all become a big family in it.
It's really formative. Honestly, this is where my lore began. In 5th grade, like I said, I've seen every episode of every season. 5th grade, my best friend Laura Grace called me and I answered the phone and I said, oh my God, Bob Guinea just picked Estelle and not Kelly Jo. This is devastating. And she said, my dog Lupe was run over and killed. I'm so sad.
Oh.
And I said, I understand your sadness because Bob didn't pick Kelly Jo.
Right.
Tragedies.
Trauma. Generational trauma.
So I think it's wonderful that we are here in this space commenting on this show.
Yep.
This is real rhetoric. This is real journalism. It's literary. It's spectacular.
It's spectacular. It's going to be a show. And we're just going to jump right on into it because little did this girl remember that episode 1 of Bachelor in Paradise was a whopping 3 hours long, about the length of the Titanic, if you recall that took 2 video cassettes. So we're going to jump in. And the first thing I kind of want to talk about is The big thing that stuck out to me as a viewer that hasn't watched since the last Bachelor in Paradise, which was, remind me, Grace, how long ago was that?
It was last year.
It was last year?
But we have had 4 seasons since.
Jeez.
No, we've had 3 seasons because we've
of the
had
Golden?
Bachelor, Bachelorette, and Golden Bachelorette. Because before the last season we had Gary's, and there are so far in this first episode, we have not seen any Golden Bachelor, Bachelorette alums. It's just the youngs.
Right. The first thing that stuck out to me was, oh my gosh, they're not in Mexico.
They're not in Puerto Vallarta.
They have completely changed the vibe, the look. They are now in this resort with like hotel rooms. There's air conditioning. Why do you think they did this?
I have a lot of questions about what kind of deal was struck to land this resort. It's not COVID, because during COVID they shot Mac James' season at Nemacolin. They shot Tayshia and Claire Crawley's season. Can't wait to talk about Claire Crawley with Dale Moss.
Oh my God.
They shot their season at this like
La Quinta
La Quinta in Palm Springs. It looks like they have it all to themselves. They also did Michelle's season, I think, at Nemacolin. It looks like they have the joint all to themselves.
Yeah.
This season is a brand and vibe overhaul. For those of you who have watched any shows on the franchise, this is completely different. I want to comment on the lighting is different. The coloring is different. They are super washed out. It's kind of neon, if you noticed.
Which you said earlier, which is really insightful, that it was kind of giving a Love is Blind.
It's giving Love is Blind. It's giving Love Island. It's giving this like overexposed lighting, which I don't know if that's also part of the like TikTok generation of how we consume media. It's just people pointing a camera at themselves and shooting. Yeah. And so we're used to seeing kind of crappier setups. And so this is just like the coloring. They're washed out. They're on the beach. There's a lot of white. I think they're going Love is Blind. They're going Love Island. I do want to say that the way in which these castmates introduced themselves and the one-liners that they had, it was as though someone put a command into ChatGPT and said, give us Real Housewife one-liners, but make it sound like Gen Z.
Oh, interesting.
Because like, what were those?
You weren't impressed with them? Well, I was having a hard time taking notes because normally it's like Jessica Edwards, like, 26 EA from San Diego. I only know that because I looked it up. Like, they didn't give people's ages or professions. Sometimes they'd leak through here or there, but they kept it pretty much like Jessica, big subtitle behind her, and then sexy walk.
But then she would say like, everyone knows I fall quickly into love, but I'm walking away from the crash site. What?
That is good.
Like, but by the way, like, I let you guys know who I was in 90 seconds at the top of this episode by giving you a list of words that do not describe me. Jess, Bachelor producers, do better.
Yeah.
When it comes to the writing, is all I'm saying. Because by the way, I like the overhaul.
Yeah.
I think like they had to show us that they were doing something different. I'm curious about what creative meetings were like, because some guy came in and was like, guys, there's got to be a lot more white.
Well, you know what I thought this was all for? Was for air conditioning for the old people. I thought there's no way. They probably wanted to have the Goldens on, and they were like, well, we can't have
bunk beds
Keith hanging out, sweating in bunk beds in Cabo. Like, we've got to switch it up a little bit.
He's on a lot of gabapentin and like Lasix for his heart. Like, he's
blood thinners.
To be clear, this is not age shaming.
Not age shaming.
I can't wait to retire and be on Lasix and gabapentin.
No, that's all I want. And I'm already on gabapentin.
Shout out.
Hot
girls take gabapentin.
Hot girls take gabapentin. And we'll get there. As Grace already mentioned, there are no Goldens this episode, but they did have a couple of interesting things. They obviously brought Wells back. And for some unknown reason to me, they brought Hannah Brown in.
Which, by the way, let me just take a moment to plug her book. I absolutely loved her book. I think it's called Bless Your Heart.
Oh my God, of course it was.
It was fantastic. She had a crazy childhood.
Did she have a good ghostwriter?
Clearly, yes. Which she actually, like, it wasn't even a ghost. She was like, this person and I are on a writing retreat writing my book.
Oh, great.
But her book was fantastic. So, like, I'm thrilled that she's there. I do want to say one thing about Hannah and Wells. And the disclaimer, this is an important disclaimer for the whole season. Just like I said, I'm not board certified. If I comment on how people have had work done to their face, it is from a place of curiosity and data collection. I am not body shaming. I have injected my own face. Do you think I was born with this nose? I wasn't. I'm kidding. But I'm just curious what people do to their face from a standpoint of like, oh, should I do that to my face?
Yeah.
And so I think Wells and Hannah, they both look exactly the same. They have not had a lot of work done. There were cast members this season who have done some work. And that's also an interesting thing to watch as the shows unfold, is who gets work done between seasons, because obviously you see yourself on the TV, you see a billion things you want to change.
Yeah.
But Wells and Hannah look great.
You start getting brand deals, so you
Correct.
start getting money, so you can do things to your face.
Correct. They look great. And I'm so thrilled they're there. What is Hannah doing? She's like a PR events manager. I don't care. I want to hear her talk about how she had sex in a windmill and Jesus still loves her.
Well,
she had sex 4 times and Jesus still loves her.
She has not talked about that. She hasn't really talked much at all this episode. I mean, she was here. I just feel like good opportunity for her to just go hang out with a bunch of cool people for a while. And the other new addition was this strange foreshadowing of a life-changing opportunity that will come at the end of Bachelor in Paradise. And from the teaser, it was implied that that changing opportunity is that you can either, and correct me, Grace, if I'm wrong on this, I took it as you could either take $500,000 or choose love. So it's kind of like Fuckboy Island.
Well, and I'll tell you what the predecessor to F-Boy Island was, because this is important. As the Bachelor historian, I would like to point out.
Bachelor Games.
Bachelor Pad.
Pad, yes. They
Bachelor
did used
Pad.
to do that.
And you were so old that you and I were watching the first season of Bachelor Pad, like maybe before we moved out to LA. And you were like, this is game theory. Fresh out of University of Virginia Business School.
Oh, yeah.
She was like, let me explain game theory to you. You could hook up with people, but there were I don't think there were proposals at the end. I need to refresh on this. But
there were a bunch of games.
And at the end, it did come down to whether or not you and your partner want to choose. It was $250,000, but it was the game theory where it's like you and your partner that you've ended up with go into separate rooms. If both of you choose keep, you don't get the money at all. If one chooses keep and one chooses share, then the keeper gets to keep all the money. And there was this huge upset by this guy, Nick, from, I can't remember whose season he was on. His name was Nick.
And that was part of the problem. No one knew this guy. Everyone kind of treated him like shit.
And then he came out and was like, I'm literally walking away with the bag.
Yeah,
he walked away
like,
with $250,000.
Fuck all you guys. I'm out of here.
I think I will pull his speech. He gave a great, like, scorched earth speech of just like, no one's giving me the time of day. I'm going to take the bag. Bye.
You know, we've done enough yip yap. Let's
Talk
jump
about
into the contestants who we have this year. They used to do their intros with their lower third saying their age and where they're from and what they do. And they really kind of went without that this time. So all of this I am getting from Google. So correct me, Grace, if any of this is wrong that you know, because I don't know these people very well. I'll tell you the ones I know well. But let's start with our Tennessee homegirl. Grace and I are both from Nashville. Jess Edwards, 26, EA from San Diego, originally from Irwin, Tennessee. That's what online said.
But that is crazy that we know about her. We know where she's from because of her accent.
Right.
And let me just be clear about Jess. One thing I love is that I love that the audience gets to see her as a young woman, because let me tell you, that woman is 55 inside.
Really?
And she is your friend's mom that you want at the party.
What?
Who's like telling you what you need to do to your face, what you need to inject. She's like making the cocktails. She's a fun older lady.
What about that exuded from her?
Honestly, probably her accent.
Okay.
I don't know anyone under 50 with that
Southern.
accent.
So she's just from below the Mason-Dixon line.
Correct.
Well, she immediately hits it off with Spencer Conley, which, oh my God, Spencer Print-a-Pet Conley, 31 from Dallas. I can't wait to hear what you have to say about Spencer.
He's a good-looking guy, straight out the gate. He's just good-looking. We learned in the first 3 minutes of the show that he's a yapper. I, too, am a yapper. Like I
literally wrote down, talks a lot, reminds me of Grace. And I said, he's not a gabber, but he is a yapper.
He's a yapper. He's actually, I think, the perfect person to get famous from the show, because we didn't really get to know much of him on Jen's season, but they had no choice to show us how whimsical he was, which I love. It's the summer of whimsy. You know what I'm saying? Like, we need that.
Yeah. Last summer was Brat summer. This summer is whimsy summer.
It's
Everyone
whimsy
knows
summer.
that.
Just like Wells was like, there's a lot going on right now. We've got tariffs. We need Bachelor in Paradise. I agree, Wells. We do need Bachelor in Paradise.
We do. America needs this.
I do want to comment, and this is this is my last disclaimer. If there's anyone who shouldn't be talking about style, it is myself. Well, I am wearing regular shoes today. Normally I wear toe shoes.
She normally does.
I just want to set the scene that like, I am not one to be commenting on style, but what I do want to commend Spencer for is you cannot convince me that shirt he was wearing did not come from a bathroom in a 90s mom's bath mat. Like that is the bath mat in a 90s mom's bathroom. Her guest bathroom, maybe her master bathroom. But the woven fabric I'm talking about?
No.
I don't think you were poor growing up like I was.
I don't know. You were not.
It's just this cheap, it might even be like a beach house texture. Gabbers, someone please let me know that I'm not the only one that thought this.
Are you talking about like a tombola?
I don't know what that is. Because
like the clothy
not
stuff?
Not rich. It was just like, it's this cheap woven fabric that was bath mats. It was like, you could get it at like Pier 1.
Okay, because I did see in the notes that you were like, it's so cool that he turned his bath mat into a shirt. And
He
I was
did
like,
that.
I missed that entirely.
No, he just did it off camera. You missed it because he did it off camera.
Theoretically, increase his dreams.
Okay, so Spencer and Jess were in a love triangle briefly with Sam. Tell us the ASL of Sam.
Sam McKinney, 28, a contractual. That's a spoonerism because it's going to be 28, a contractor from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
I forgot he was from Myrtle Beach.
Grace loves Myrtle Beach. Tell us about Sam, Grace. I remember he was problematic on Jen season.
He was so problematic. I love him so much.
Why?
All right.
Wait, didn't you think he was so hot?
Yes.
Wait, Grace,
Still,
that's so weird.
I still do. I know. Let me don't yuck someone else's
Sorry,
yum.
sorry, that is really rude. You can think, I mean, he is really hot.
He's
but like,
objectively hot.
But you think he's like the hottest
I'm
guy
sorry.
on the Bachelor franchise.
The heart wants what it wants.
Which I would love
Let me
for
explain.
you, but doesn't this guy
Let me explain.
suck?
Let me explain.
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
All right. Now, number one, Myrtle Beach, close to my heart. Not beach week. Again, not rich. I grew up vacationing in Myrtle Beach.
Grace, we went to the same private high school.
There were a lot of Confederate flags on Myrtle Beach. I knew what a strip club was before any of my peers did. That's beside the point. That's where Sam grew up. And Vanna White, by the way. But he's objectively so handsome. Now, as soon as he opens his mouth, it's over.
Right.
Because I don't want to know like what Reddit boards this guy is on. He's so hot. This is all I could think of last night is I would like to watch him act out the lyrics to Luke Bryan's Stay With Me. Luke Bryan's Sunrise, Sunburn, Sunset, Repeat.
Will you give us a line of that so I can remember it?
Sunrise, sunburn, sunset, repeat. It's a song about a guy who goes to paint his girlfriend's dad's lake house during the summer.
Oh, that's romantic.
I would watch Sam paint a lake house all summer. Like I would watch a live feed of it.
But you wouldn't want to talk to him.
Absolutely not.
I just remember he was a jerk and we didn't like him, but I do now remember that you thought he was insanely
He's so hot. And I wouldn't even give him the time of day at a party. I might give him the time of day at a party
yes, you
if he
would.
didn't have a shirt on. But he came in a little later and he took Jess on a date and she made out with him as she would. I don't know if I would make out with him on the date. I would totally.
Yes, you would.
I would totally. Also some more appropriation with the culture of like, let's go do a Costa Rican like pastime of a ritual cleansing for these two white people.
Yeah, they really like those.
If they love them. I think they're probably like inexpensive dates.
Yeah.
Didn't love that, but she wound up choosing Spencer.
Which I don't think it was a hard decision for her. Do you think it was? I think deep down she thinks she's going to marry Spencer.
I think she...
Or maybe just deep down I think she's going to marry Spencer. So maybe because my favorite Kyle said that. Not my husband Kyle, but nobody Kyle. That we'll get to later.
Yep. We do. Actually, let's go to Kyle Jeremy Bailey. Because Kyle said, you think Kyle said he did say she's going to marry.
He said book it.
Book it. Does that mean, by the way, like
book
the wedding venue?
Yeah.
But does it mean book the wedding in your calendar or book the venue for the wedding?
I think it just means they're going to get married, bet.
Okay. Bet.
You know?
Bet.
Yeah.
Carolyn, tell me why the most forgettable man on the show is named, I'm sorry, Kyle.
When he was introduced as Kyle, I screamed on the couch, of course his name is Kyle. He looks head to toe like a Kyle. And my Kyle was sitting like a foot to my left and was like, what do you mean by that? And I was like, no offense, Kyle, but you know your name comes with a lot of baggage. Like Kyle
That's correct.
And I did not explain it to him, but I was like, you know,
Kyle. You didn't know that?
Like Kyle also epitomizes Kyle, but
Sure.
I love my Kyle.
Yeah.
This Kyle also epitomizes Kyle, but I don't like this Kyle. So there's a spectrum of Kyle.
There is a subtle differentiation because, by the way, like when people talk about your Kyle, they walk away from my 35th birthday party and are like, I loved Kyle. Kyle was so great.
And they're like, who was that bitch?
It's a spectrum. You're either a really memorable Kyle or a very forgettable Kyle. And he, unfortunately, is a forgettable Kyle. Also, I'm going to say it, you guys, hot take. I think he's a guy who looks at a group of women and calls them females. Huge red flag. Huge red flag.
I thought the way he talked made him sound like, okay, and look, I assume that this guy had a hard time online just by the way he talked.
Correct.
Just by the way that he was a goon a little bit, a bit of a goober.
But not an endearing goober like Spencer.
Yeah.
There's a spectrum of Kyle.
No,
there's a spectrum
so
of
right.
goober.
Spencer is an endearing goober. I would be, I'd be torn between Kyle and Spencer, and I would go with Spencer, I think. Also, how did this Kyle get on here? How do they go back 4 seasons ago or whatever and say, let's pick the random guy that got kicked out like second round?
Because I think that guy, probably they know that I'm just like, I don't know. This is just speculation, but I bet that he is somebody that they knew could cause drama. And sometimes we just don't see it at all.
But sometimes they pick people that I'm like, oh, they didn't do anything on their season.
Yeah.
Why are you, out
like
of all
obviously,
the people you could have picked?
And obviously they want Goober Spencer there because he's a goober and like he brings a lot of joy and whimsy to the summer of whimsy on Bachelor in Paradise.
Right.
Goober Kyle, like, I don't know, is he there? He seems like a stewer. He seems like he would stew if he were wronged. If he were slighted by a woman, by a female.
He did even say when he saw Bailey and Jeremy making out, like, America's on my side. So that wasn't good for Goober.
I'm telling you.
Goober Kyle at all.
Now, so Bailey picked Jeremy. This is interesting.
Have we talked about who Bailey is?
No. Because I want to talk about something that Bailey said, direct quote, and I want to talk about something Jeremy said.
Can I give their ASLs real quick?
Please.
So we have Bailey Brown, 28, social media manager, which I think just means she posts on Instagram, from Atlanta. I could be wrong. I don't have a job. So, and then Jeremy Simon, 31, a real estate investor from New York.
Okay, Jeremy, how old is Jeremy?
31.
Nope, he's 55. You cannot convince me that guy is 31.
He's a golden.
He's also just aging like a white man. Like, white people have aging on lock, and he is aging like one.
He went to the wrong casting session. It's a long con that he's had to just play for so long now.
Okay, so I'm going to back up to Bailey, who's just hot. Like, that's the thing. Is
her body's a wonderland.
Yes, her body is a wonderland. Thank you. One thing she said, I'm just going to read this back. I wrote down this direct quote. I am looking for the Ryan to my Trista and the Jay-Z to my Beyonce.
Without the drama.
Let's just back that up because, first of all, Trista wasn't on Bachelor in Paradise. I just want to be clear. So I understand that what she is saying from that is that she wants a marriage of longevity. Mm-hmm. Also, Jay-Z and Beyonce have had a marriage of longevity. Has it been full of fidelity? No. Has it brought Beyonce $1 billion? Yes.
And didn't Trista and Ryan have that really weird missing person thing?
Okay, here's what happened. Ryan.
Trista was the first Bachelorette. She married Ryan, and I guess they're still married to this day.
They're still married. They're the longest married couple from the show. She was the first Bachelorette. And it was always Ryan right away. And this is what's so fantastic about the old days of the show, the ye olden days, is that they were just regular people. And they have stayed regular people. Like, he has been a firefighter for 75 years or however long he's been alive since they got married. But he posted, I think Trista was away filming like the Navy SEALs show or like one of those celebrity shows. And Ryan posted an Instagram story that was like, feeling kind of aimless without my wife. And we were like, did she die?
The way he phrased it, we'll see if we can dig it up and post it. Like, it's so funny.
We were like,
is Trista dead?
We were like, does Ryan need a wellness check? Blink twice.
And then you have to be like, no.
So she's like, I want a Trista and Ryan. When I hear I want a Trista and my Ryan, I'm like, I want a Ryan to my Trista. I'm like, oh, so you want a zaddy to be out here posting about you on his Instagram stories, making people wonder about you. And when I hear a Beyonce to my Jay-Z, I'm like, so you want your sister to kick the shit out of him in an elevator?
She said without the drama.
Okay, but you can't.
Without
they're
it.
Not mutually exclusive.
Take it out. That's what she wants.
But this is interesting because now we can get towards the question of the show, what it's moving towards of, do you want the money or do you want love? Because she says she wants Beyonce and Jay-Z, which I take to mean she wants to be a billionaire, which makes me think she would take the money. I'm just setting the scene here.
Okay.
Also, Jeremy being a commercial real estate investor, I don't know, does he need 500K?
That's interesting.
And he is 55, so he already has way more capital.
He already has his 401k.
Than we think. Now, one thing that Jeremy said about Bailey, I rewound this 45 times. To be clear, by the way, Gabbers, I'm house sitting right now. And so I'm watching at the house where I'm house sitting. If I were watching this at my house, it would be on the rabbit ears, the actual rabbit ears.
I don't think Gen Z even knows what rabbit ears are.
I'm sorry, they don't. They're the antenna that you stick on top of your
Do they even know what antenna? You
TV.
used to have to put a wire on top of your TV.
And it goes like this. And they're called rabbit ears because they look like rabbit ears for your TV. I, like Jeremy, am 55 years old, and this is what we're doing. So I could rewind last night. Normally I can't. But what he said is, her body is tea, and I'm honey to that tea. All right, couple things. Just a question. When someone says honey and they say a word, that ends with a long E, that should be B. You can't talk about a honey and tea. It needs to be honey and bees. So first of all, the fact that he poetically, linguistically chose that word is troubling to me.
Okay.
But second of all, since when are we using tea to describe, did I just miss that?
Her body's tea.
Is that a term that I don't know?
I mean, it's adjacent to drama tea, I
right.
guess.
So, but also that is proof, actually. Conspiracy theory confirmed. He is 55.
He is very old.
Because he just made up a phrase.
Jeremy.
Her body is tea.
He studied a sheep before he went, and he was like, tea. Okay. Naturally include tea in my vernacular. And he probably had that whole stanza written out.
Her body is tea, and I am honey to that tea.
He had it written on his hand. He looked down
Gabbers, I'm sorry I didn't do enough research coming into this. I need to do more, but I have a lot of follow-up questions about that.
Okay, and just out of that alone, I agree with Wells that Bailey's out of his league.
Correct.
I don't know what Bailey we're doing with Jeremy here.
Now, I will say this. He was intentional with her.
Jonathan, to her face.
Well, sure. But like Jonathan has really just been like bumbling around. Jonathan, we haven't talked about him yet. He's the guy that wore the face mask on Jen's season. He was kind of bumbling around. Like Jeremy, I knew that he was into Bailey.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like
he made it clear. But he's also made it clear to Hannah Brown that he is looking already for an escape hatch.
And also he probably made it clear to her because he's a 55-year-old man who pursues women. It's another point in the category of Jeremy's old.
He's trying to get with Hannah Brown.
Oh my God.
It's the longest con ever.
Okay.
Let's go to Alex Godin.
It's Alex spelled with an E, which is fine.
Alex with an E,
but
which
I think
is hilarious
it's pronounced
to say.
Alex.
Alex.
Alexi?
So stupid.
Alex.
I think it's Alex with an E. I just like calling her that. Godin, 28, lives in LA, from Canada, pediatric speech therapist from Grant's season. I know. Why don't they talk about this shit
You should
anymore?
lead with that, babe.
Yep. That's hot. She walked in with a llama on her season. She also mentioned a butt plug on her season.
Yep.
And this was very, to your point, Gen Z intro of her being like, I need someone who's hot, funny, obsessed with me, but that said, not a spotlight stealer. Like, at least rhyme.
I think another setting they had from ChatGPT was like, what's the melody of what they should say? Because she was like, ah, la 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 la, no filter. You know what I mean? Like
la 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 la
la la la la. Tell me I'm wrong.
That's exactly what it was.
So she's also
very hot.
She's so hot. And the other thing she said that I think is kind of interesting is it would appear, correct me if I'm wrong, Carolyn, she seemed to tell two men that she spoke to, that she's very lazy.
I did feel like her spirit animal there.
She was like, I like to have my water brought to me in bed.
But is she the one who had the panic talk with Dale?
Yeah.
Like, that was a crash out I related with so hard. She couldn't remember wordage.
Her system was overloaded talking to Dale Moss.
She couldn't get sentences together.
And also, what did he say? He said something
He
like,
said, I'm from South Dakota.
and she was like, so South Carolina.
And she was like, I'm obsessed with geography. I haven't met anyone from South Dakota. You're from South Carolina. He's like, whoa.
Alex with an E crashed out talking to Dale Moss. And also she told Dale, I like to be taken care of. I'm kind of lazy.
Yeah.
Like in so many words, she said to multiple men, I'm kind of lazy, which like, listen, be honest, be upfront. Maybe that's her tactic.
She wants the coffee in bed. Is that right?
She wants coffee in bed. She was also talking to Jonathan. Will you give us the ASL on Jonathan? And also to be clear, when you say ASL, what do you mean?
Oh, again, Gen Z probably doesn't know this. Age, sex, location.
Because I thought you meant American Sign Language.
Which would be awkward to do on a podcast.
Nope.
Enough said.
Will you give us the ASL for Jonathan?
Jonathan Johnson. Fun name. 28. A creative director from Los Angeles, California. Gen season. Short king looking for something to last.
What's his job?
Creative director.
That's fake. I love it. I love it.
You think that's just another? I assume a lot of these people, and the truth is, a lot of these people probably don't even really do their job anymore because they're brand people online now.
But also maybe they might not be, because another interesting thing as the Bachelor historian here is like the follows are not up like they used to be. This is not Corinne on Nick's season.
Oh my gosh.
I said what I said.
Yes.
This is
Which
not...
is interesting because for Love Island, it is.
And by the way, that's why clearly they're trying to be Love Island.
Interesting.
With the visuals even.
Yeah, and the Goldens.
And the Goldens. And listen, Jonathan Johnson, I too am a creative director of my bedroom.
Of my life.
He was the guy that came in with the mummy bandage all over his face on Jen's season.
Oh, I forgot about that.
He is a short king. He does shave his legs every 3 weeks, he said, so you can see his tattoos, which I just want to say, pop off, king. We love a man that's into maintenance.
Yeah.
Because as women, we have to be into so much maintenance that okay, I think it's kind of reparations for him to shave.
The least you can do.
Yeah. So I like that. Alex, she gave her rose to Jonathan, yeah?
Yes. Alex was in between Jonathan and Ricky Martinez, 29, a pharmaceutical rep from Miami, Florida, but also called himself a Puerto Rican poppy. So I'm sure his family's from Puerto Rico. He's from Gen season. I think you're right that Alex chose Jonathan. I don't think she was really stoked about either.
Correct.
And I think she's primed to have someone else come in, and she will be one of the first to be swept away or pulled for a chat, I think.
Yep. Because she's so hot.
Yeah.
And
they're the least intense.
Yeah, they're the least intense, except for when her brain was fritzing out.
Right.
Should we go, speaking of brain fritzing out, should we go to Dale Moss?
Here we go. We are here with Dale Moss. Now, I do remember Dale well. Dale was the winner from Claire Crowley's season.
Claire Crowley's truncated season.
Because literally the only time in Bachelor history, the Bachelor or Bachelorette themselves just said, nope.
Wrap it up. Everybody else go home.
We're done here.
It's Dale Moss.
It's Dale Moss.
And you could see, because by the way, she was the first deep COVID season. They shot at La Quinta Inn and Resorts.
Yes.
La Quinta Inn Resorts and Spa in Palm Desert. And it was a super closed environment. And we all had nothing, we'd already gone through every season of Tiger King, every episode of Tiger King. We needed
Claire
the
Crowley is
show.
probably the closest he'd been to someone in months.
Yeah.
You know?
And so Dale walks in and she's like, pack it up and go home. I'm going to marry Dale. And it happened so shockingly early in the season that they brought in another bachelorette. They brought in Tayshia, who wound up with Zach Clark, one of my all-time favorite candidates. Thank you so much. She was engaged to Dale, and you could see that Dale was deer in the headlights the whole time.
Dale didn't see this coming, and this is based purely off his facial expressions the whole season. Dale did not necessarily want this or need this being an engagement to Claire Crowley after 2 dates. But it was happening, and it was fast, and he's on a reality show, and
I think he got talked into it, very whirlwind.
He got talked into it because they were like, look, Dale, we have a problem. Claire isn't even talking to anybody else.
Claire was literally like, I'm going to lock myself in a room until Dale agrees to marry me, was kind of what she did.
And Dale, by the way, ASL, 36, former NFL wide receiver from Brandon, South Dakota.
But also, we can't forget, that he was in a movie. He was in a TV movie. Do you know this?
No.
I am going to crowdsource the funds to rent the movie. I don't know what corner of the internet I have to hack it from. But he was in a movie called Putting Love to the Test.
Okay.
Where he plays a tennis coach.
Wow.
This was like a Hallmark Lifetime adjacent movie. Like it was one of those straight to DVD.
Yep.
Even though we're not even in that, even though DVDs are obsolete, it was
Right.
still straight to DVD. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And he was in that movie.
Oh.
That was, I can't remember if it was.
Did you watch it?
No, that's what I'm saying. I haven't watched it
Oh,
yet,
you
but I
haven't
know
watched
about it. And I watch the trailer every morning as I get ready for work. That's what I do.
Good morning.
Good morning, Dale. Good morning, Grace.
Well, I was going to say from his age, I didn't realize he was so young on
Her season.
on her season compared. And I mean, obviously double standard. Girls can date 10 plus years up all the time. But
Sure.
I just didn't realize that he was as young as he is. Like, he's still young. He's
still
our
young.
age.
Yeah. He also, I do want to say, again, this is no body shaming. This is coming from a place of curiosity and data collection. I think he has had a lot of Botox in his forehead.
Interesting.
Mostly because it doesn't move, which neither does mine. But we should have Dale on the pod. We should just invite him and say, like, one of you had done. But he spoke to Kat and also, who's the other hot one that wound up with, we haven't talked about her yet, with Brian, Zoe, yeah. He spoke to them and they really quickly got into gender role conversations. What I did notice is they went really quickly into gender roles of like, I'm looking for a protector. He kind of makes me feel like baby girl. And I don't know that just because of his age or his perceived age. He does, like Jeremy, seem much, much older.
Right. I mean, he was, as someone said, like a whole man. And he did look like a whole man.
Correct.
Compared to everybody else. I mean, he was a fucking NFL football player.
He is very good looking, which is obviously why, not Bailey, what's her name? Who fritzed out talking to him?
Alex with an E.
Alex could not put sentences together, which
She could not.
may we all meet men that are so good looking that we swim in their eyes.
But Dale winds up picking Kat, or Kat picks Dale by the end, who is 29, a registered nurse from Tampa, Florida. Tell me, she was apparently like a villain last season, the way that she was talked about.
First of all, I think last season she was just kind of drunk, which I am not using as a justification.
Right.
But if you're drunk and tired and dehydrated, you're going to sit on camera and you're going to say some wild stuff.
Okay.
And so I think
like throw birthday cakes and stuff.
Throw birthday cakes. I think that she was fast and loose, like shooting from the hip of like talking about people very judgmentally.
Yep.
Now, she did say, I've gone and done a bunch of therapy. I look at that with the side eye. But then she said, I can't tell if he's triggering my attachment wound trauma. And that tells me that she's at least watched like some TikToks about attachment styles.
Yeah, no.
Like if she does have a good therapist, good job, Kat.
Yeah.
But at least she has done an ounce of work on herself.
Well, I think anyone would have to pour themselves into work on themselves if they get an online persecution.
Sure.
Like it's hard. Everyone's like, well, this is what they signed up for, but you don't know it till you go through it. I mean, it's not fun.
No.
I would imagine.
So she and Dale went on wasn't it a catamaran?
Yes.
Jesse called it a yacht. And I was like, my dude, I don't know yachts, but that's not one.
Well, that's like when in 2011, my boyfriend at the time was like, hey, my friend's building a company that can bring a limo whenever you want. And I was like, okay. And he was like, a limo's on its way. I mean, it was a town car. It was a black car. It wasn't a limo. But that company was Uber. Yeah.
His friend, Travis. No, but so anyway, they go on a catamaran, and I do want to say Kat was about to, as we say in my family, on the way to Myrtle Beach, we would say, are you about to toss your cookies? And she was about to lose it. And Dale was like oblivious. Like she was like, I really want to sit up straight. I'm feeling kind of sick. And he was like, this is so nice.
Yes.
And I was like, Dale, I need you to pay a little more attention.
Yeah, he wasn't really catching on how bad it was. But she also was really trying to hide it too. You could tell, and she was like,
she was.
Yeah, just a little kid. And do you not feel that? Okay. Like she was trying to keep it together. Another couple we have is Zoe McGrady from, I don't have an ASL here, from Virginia, lives in NYC. I don't know what she does. I don't know why I didn't have that.
All I wrote down for Zoe is that she's hot.
She's hot.
She's so hot.
She made it to the final three without a one-on-one. That is impressive. That is very impressive. And she, out of kind of nowhere, hits it off with Brian Outs, 34, an aesthetics consultant. There you go, Grace. From Boynton Beach, Florida.
Wait, an aesthetics consultant?
That's
also a fake job.
I might be wrong, but I mean, it sounds like he's like the Botox guy.
I think I too am an aesthetics consultant because I talked to my esthetician about
Well, we're consulting
injecting
gabbers
me.
now. Yeah.
Okay, Brian, my dad, shout out to my dad who doesn't watch the show. He doesn't watch many shows that I produce. He probably won't listen to this podcast. That's okay. He knows that we're doing the podcast, and I was like, you should tune into Bachelor in Paradise. And so I talked to him today, and he was like, I saw that guy whose mom, this is not a good impression of my dad, but he was like, I saw that guy whose mom said he's the whole package. Like, what a putz. He didn't say putz, but spiritually that's what he was going for.
Right.
And I was like, Dad, that is representative of all millennial men in the dating pool these days. And he was like, no, it's not. And I was like, yes, it is. And he was like, I'm in the dating pool these days. And I said, you're in the golden dating pool,
Yeah,
Dad.
he's in the second wave of
Stop trying to
contestants.
mansplain men to me.
Right.
By the way, when he saw Zoe, what did he say? He said, I want athletic babies.
Yeah.
And I know I would have those with her. I don't love it.
I don't love them either. And I do think that there's a reason we didn't see this couple coming, and it's because they will end in a trash compactor. I don't think it's going to go anywhere.
But when you say trash compactor, is that just like being obsolete, or is that like a crashing dumpster fire?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
I'd love to see them scream and yell.
It's on flames as it goes into the compaction unit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So like big.
I think Zoe thinks this guy is like the real, and I don't know, he's just giving me F-Boy Island a little bit.
The fact that he said my mom thinks I'm the whole package, and the fact that the first words out of his mouth were about what kind of babies he could sire from Zoe,
Yeah.
I don't love it.
Yeah.
I don't.
I mean, I hope they live forever together in harmony. I wouldn't put my betting dollars on them.
He seems someone right away, like right off the bat, that would choose the money to me.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
But you know who I think might choose love?
Who?
Who's really there to find love, because apparently his biological clock is ticking, is Justin Glaze.
Oh God, this man needs it.
Justin is worried about having children. Like, sort of freeze your sperm or something.
Grasping for love. He is like, this is my time. It's his third chance. He's excited. He's 31, a painter and investment sales consultant from Baltimore, Maryland. Also Katie Thurston's season and Bachelor in Paradise 8. Recently broke up with Susie, which I found so interesting. And remind us, Grace, who Susie was?
Susie was from Clayton's season.
That's
Susie
right.
was the one he told Gabby, Rachel, and Susie at this museum in Iceland. He told them, I've slept with all of you. Never forget. And basically everyone left. And then he had to go crawling back to Susie, being like, please, take me back. And so they dated for a little while, and then they broke up. And by the way, he was embroiled in a years-long paternity lawsuit.
What?
Because this woman that he had a one-night stand with claimed that he was the father of her child.
Clayton?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, you didn't know about this? And it was a years-long legal process.
Didn't he just get cleared up or something?
Yes. And he has done, like Kat, he's done a lot of therapy,
Yeah.
allegedly. Because how could you not when...
He got torn apart.
Yes. And so anyway, he was with Susie for a while. They broke up, and then she and Justin had been friends for years. They dated for a year. They broke up. Lexi started to do the math. It seems like they broke up maybe 3 months before filming started, which from a capitalism perspective, if I were Justin and Susie, I'd be like, why don't we break up and then rekindle on Bachelor in Paradise?
Oh, well, like fly her down or something?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if she shows up. Because who was it? Oh my gosh.
They've done that before.
Yes, it was Colton and Tia.
Yes.
On Bachelor in Paradise.
That was so awkward.
Was she on Colton's? No, she was on Ari's season, but she and Colton had a thing, and he came to Paradise, and she was like, I just can't decide if I like him or not. And then he left Paradise, and now he's happily married to a man.
So we can have that here.
But they love to bring in the unrequited love, the unfinished business. So keep your eyes peeled for Susie, I feel like.
Justin says he is over Susie. Narrator, he was not over
Susie.
He was not at all. No. Not in the least bit. But they do choose each other despite Lexi's reservations that he's not quite over his ex. So
I think that they have Alexa play Slow Burn by Casey Musgraves. They are not all flames and and Sparks.
Right.
I feel as though.
Yeah.
Could
true.
they get there? They might get there a little more slowly.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I can see that perspective.
I think they're both hesitant because his date got rained out. He got the first date card, which, by the way, also in terms of the vibe being upgraded, even the date cards are different this season. Did you notice?
I noticed. Did they even say anything on them?
I don't think so. It's
He
just
was
like a black card.
You'll notice there's not much on there, but I promise you, it's going to be magical.
So he got the date card. He was going to take her on a date, but it rained. And then what did he do? Met with Hannah Brown to be like, hey, events coordinator, I'd like another date. And also, this is something, Gabbers, I'm sure you've covered this before, but when on a show, a contestant says, I've planned a fun date for us, that's a lie. The producers have planned a fun date.
I know someone said that this episode was like, and I can't wait to see what kind of date he has in store for me. As if he had any involvement
As if
into this
he
date.
called the shaman in Costa Rica and said, can you do a cleanse
Hey guys,
for
that's
us?
a great idea. If we could just get this
Can
rounded
we
up
call?
real quick.
You might, like, contestants could go to producers and say, like Hakeem
I'd
did
love
this.
to do a special thing.
Hakeem did this
Yeah.
for somebody. He was like, I want to, and he just pulled her aside with a plate of food. Sure, you can do that. So they made up for their date a couple days later. And they were both like, I'm glad it took us a couple days because we've really had a chance to get to know each other. And I'm like, it looks like from this date, you guys don't really know each other still, but okay.
Well, they're slow burn.
So I feel like it'd be a slow burn. And also, Bolo, be on the lookout for Susie.
Do you know who Bolo is in the Bravo world?
No.
Grace, are you serious? Bolo is from the Real Housewives of Atlanta franchise as the stripper who comes. It took us so long that he can, oh yeah, that's right. He can suck it himself.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and they had Bolo come to an event and Candy's mom got real mad.
Is it Bolo because it's like, be on the lookout for my dick?
I don't know, but he did sleep with people at the bachelor party and it was controversial.
Bolo is again, I like Jeremy in 55,
Yeah.
which would make me Gen X. I'm a golden, honestly. Like, Jeremy might be a Gen X. I'm a golden. And Bolo is something that my sweet, sweet boomer mother, may she rest, she would use the phrase Bolo. So,
Oh man.
I didn't make it up.
Well, I'll send you a picture of him and say
Bolo for Bolo and Bolo for Susie.
Bolo for Bolo, Bolo for Susie. Let's have them both in our thoughts and prayers today. Amen. Okay, and you brought him up briefly, but the last person we have on our list is none other than Hakeem Molden. Did I say his name right?
I believe so.
31, a medical device salesman from Schaumburg, Illinois. Gin season, been friend zoned. Oh my God, you can see a lot of the white on his eyes.
You can see so much. You can see so much white on his eyes. Let me tell you what I loved about Hakeem. Hakeem got excited about the individual water bottles in the room.
Yes.
When they were going through looking at like swag in the room, he
You're
was
right.
like, forget the rolled up towels that look like swans. Forget the bath salts. I get my own water bottle.
Hakeem is the friend that you have to say, hey, you've got to negotiate your contract better. They are effing you over and you're just taking whatever they're saying.
He's just so glad. He needs to talk to Demi and Brett from Secret Lives of Mormon Wives about how to settle for more, okay? They have games this season, which I love because let's show the cast members doing something active.
Yeah.
I'm tired of seeing them lounge on the beach.
Yeah.
And so they did a game this episode that, again, we're led to believe Hannah Brown created.
Right. From
Pop
the top
off.
of her head.
Fine. Pop off, queen. And when it was more like a PA on a Google Doc at 3 a.m., like, what if we did? They take phrases from each cast member and put them over a silhouette. So it's Hakeem's silhouette, and it says things like, honestly, the only one I remember, and I don't even remember what cast member it was, is I like music. Everything from T-Pain to Morgan Wallen.
Oh, yeah.
Would I lead with a Morgan Wallen passion? No, I wouldn't.
No.
But that's just me.
But the T-Pain got some people.
That's right.
So everyone had their silhouettes, and you could put an X if they turned you off, or a heart if they turned you on. And,
What would one of yours say?
Oh, like my silhouette? They
Yeah.
probably would have been like, loves painkillers because she needs them.
Okay, that's too pithy. That's too Real Housewives one-liner. This was like, has taken painkillers.
Exactly.
It wasn't quippy.
It was,
Mine would be like, wears toe shoes, drinks
Right.
1.5 gallons of water every day.
Right.
Now, so Ricky accused Hakeem of being what?
Vanilla.
Let me be perfectly clear. I get called vanilla every single day.
No one calls you vanilla.
Yes, they do.
Who calls you vanilla?
Well, I don't know, but if they did, they insisted they would call me vanilla.
Grace, if Ricky were here, he'd be like, no, see, here's the thing. You're not vanilla.
Okay, I think Ricky would think I was so vanilla.
No.
I think he would think I was so vanilla.
You'd get like a lot of hearts or a lot of X's. I don't think that X's, but I'm saying like that's what, in Ricky's mind, to not be vanilla, you have to have a lot of hearts or a lot of X's.
Okay, that's interesting. I thought that, so he was calling it vanilla based on the lack of response?
Of stuff there, yes.
No, so the lack of response, not the actual
Exactly.
one-liner descriptions.
He got like one, well, both. He was saying your one-liner descriptions were so vanilla because you're vanilla that no one put their stickers on your silhouette.
Which, by the way, if you're on the beach in Costa Rica and someone says that to you, you say, thank you, my brother in Christ, and you move on. They decided to fight like it was, will you give a Real Housewives comparison?
They chose to fight like it was Ariana and Lala in the later seasons before Scandal.
There was no point. It was just yelling. It was just drama. And then afterwards, both guys were like, I wonder if that hurts my chances with the girl. Sir, what do you think?
I know this isn't going to be popular opinion, but I was kind of on Hakeem's side that Ricky came out of butt left field just to be like, hey, you're vanilla.
He was aggressive in his accusation.
And then he's like, he was aggressive about how he wasn't aggressive. He's like, it's not bad to be vanilla.
Which, by the way, it's not.
It's not. But then why approach someone aggressively and say, point, see, I'd rather not be vanilla. That's how he phrased it first. He was like, you're vanilla. I wouldn't want to be vanilla. But vanilla's not bad, you know?
Yeah.
It was a weird, the whole thing was very unnerving.
Yep. And both of those men go home. Bye-bye. Also, the other thing is I hadn't taken melatonin at this point, but I wondered if I had, because we saw a sequence of Hakeem just having a meltdown about talking to people.
Yes.
We see him in the silhouette.
Talk about Hakeem crashing out.
He did crash out worse than, what was her name?
Alex.
Alex with
an E. Hakeem was going... He wasn't even making sense with the question. He was like, do you like bread? You're doing so well. I think you're doing everything right. I forgot to tell you. Did we talk about this? I want to get married.
Whose crash out was worse? Alex with an E or Hakeem?
I think Hakeem.
I
because
agree.
Alex was one scene. Hakeem had it was a montage. It was a montage of him hopping all around that damn villa.
And it was, I will say, his was completely nonlinear and nonsensical. Alex with an E just had, the problem was she had like 6 things floating above her head and she couldn't grab the right 2 at the same time. Hakeem was just everywhere.
Everywhere, all at once.
So everything everywhere all at once, Hakeem.
Inspired by Hakeem.
We then went to the super tease of the season where we see that eventually the Goldens are going to be coming in. And then Jesse made it seem like you can choose at the end of the show to either get engaged, choose love, or choose the money. Mm-hmm. Which one would you take? Now, all right, I'm actually going to set it up this way. Which one would you take versus money or Justin Glaze? Money or forgettable Kyle, and then money or memorable Kyle? You have 3 instances. I need you to narrate what you would choose.
My Kyle? Memorable Kyle?
Yeah.
Well, if it was my memorable Kyle, I would choose love.
You sure?
Here's the thing. I knew Kyle for like 10 years.
You did.
This, if I had met him 6 weeks ago, I don't think we would have. I might have taken the money. It would be hard for me not to take the money, actually.
The duration in which you have to get to know people,
yeah.
$500,000 feels like it would go a lot further. What about Justin Glaze?
No, nothing about, no offense. I'm not attracted to Justin Glaze. I don't know why. I'm just not, he's not my sauce. I need goofy silly. I need a little Spencer.
He is goofy silly. I would, Spencer, which contestant, well then also forgettable Kyle. You would obviously choose the money.
I would choose the money over forgettable Kyle, but I would have a soft spot for him and say, look, there is room to grow here, but I think you can do it.
I want to rehabilitate forgettable Kyle.
Yeah.
Like I want to take him, like he's a little baby girl. Like I want to like.
We want him to
yeah.
What about you?
Okay. Spencer, I would, again, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, not enough time. Spencer, to me, out of everyone on the show, seems like the most husband material.
Yeah.
Mostly because he's whimsical, thoughtful. He turned his mom's bath mat into a shirt.
Right. Talent.
Sam McKinney, I would think about
Oh my God, Grace, you would not for so many reasons.
About it.
I'm just going to cut off that train of thought right there. Also, I mean, this sounds shitty, but I would also think, well, man, if I were a contestant, maybe I would just talk to my partner and be like, hey, let's agree to engage. Or no.
Let's agree to pick the money and then get together after.
And then let's still date after this. We both win.
By the way,
and we're not engaged.
My 72-year-old father suggested the same thing.
Yeah.
Which I was like, because it's not, there used to be a show, there was a show 1,000 years ago called For Love or Money. Fun fact about me, I grew up without cable. And so I got really into network TV.
Yeah.
And like West Wing, Alias, Boston Legal. Mm-hmm. But there was a show on NBC called For Love or Money. And it was kind of always, I think it was known from the get-go that I think it was like $250 at the time, that you were going to choose that at the end. And they said on the show, and I think they might have said this on like Alex Michaels' season of The Bachelor too. This is like in the early aughts. They were like, once you walk away from this, you can never come back again, which is no longer the case.
It's not true.
It's not true now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like back then, yeah, they would have no way of reaching out to a contestant from the show. Like they would have to send mail. They would have to write a postcard. And now it's you just slide right into those DMs, baby.
You're so right. You're so right.
So like I'm curious how they're going to say, hey guys, if you choose the money and then get engaged, we'll know. We'll know. Is there some kind of like
just
kill switch?
Well, no. And then I would go in hiding for about 3 months. Like the opposite of when The Bachelor wins. They have to hide for like the months.
Right.
Well, actually, we would have to hide just so people didn't think we were together.
Yeah.
And then be like, oh, we reconciled.
I also think that this is going to be a great season in general because you're my best friend. And I love talking about this show with you.
So fun.
But also I feel like we represent opposite ends of the spectrum because as much as I would love watching Sam McKinney act out a Luke Bryan song. I don't know why I went the Luke Bryan route. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry.
Oh, that's not the part that bothered me. But go on.
But I do want to say I would pick the money every single time.
Yeah.
And you're happily married to the love of your life, which also, Gabbers, one thing you should know about Kyle, memorable Kyle, is that he was always my favorite boyfriend of yours. I met Kyle from the get-go. I kept a note in my drawer. Kyle sent us cookies when you were babysitting a bunny. That's a whole other story. And he said, 2 cookies for Carolyn, 1 cookie for Grace, and 1 cookie for Bunny. I kept that note in my drawer for years because I knew this guy was, not they always come back. I just knew that Kyle was the greatest.
Gabbers, if you're new here, Kyle and I broke up for 6 years and got back together. Don't get back with your ex. Unless it's a situation like this where it's distance when we broke up and we got a lot better in our 20s and we're better people when we met in our 30s.
And I would say by like March, with Kyle, you saw each other in December of 2019. And then I bet by March of 2020, you would have picked Kyle over the 500K.
Yeah, I would have. But again, I've had the luxury of knowing him. I've dated him before and known him throughout these years. He has a Harvard degree. I mean, there's just a lot in his favor. I'd
probably be about to walk down the aisle with someone and they'd be like, hey, do you want a briefcase of 500K instead? I'd be like, yes.
There you have it.
Actually, it would have to be more, maybe.
It just depends on who it is.
But also the question is, what amount of money would make you walk away from love?
That's true.
Because by the way, I'm going to be honest, $500,000 after taxes, maybe not the most tempting to me.
I know they need to factor in taxes.
$2 million? Maybe.
Yeah.
$5 million for sure.
Yeah.
$5 million, I'd walk away from my family. I'm kidding.
She's kidding. Sort of. So that was this week's episode of Bachelor in Paradise, episode 1. What an episode it was. I hope we did as well as we could, getting the kinks out of going through every damn person that's on this show, because there are a lot of people. But I am excited to see what unfolds and how they do carry out this life-changing opportunity at the end. And thanks again so much for giving Grace such a warm welcome. Grace, thank you so much for joining us this season. We are just so thrilled to have you. I'm sure everyone's going to love you. Okay, so Grace has an idea for how we're going to sign off today.
One thing that was said on the show last night, I believe by Bailey, was hot girls have IBS. Gabbers, we want to hear from you. What symptoms are you stricken with as hot girls? Everyone that listens is hot.
Everyone, all of you Gabbers are hot AF.
So
we would fight for you.
Hot Gabbers have fill in the blank. For me, it's hot Gabbers have psoriasis.
Nice.
Hot people have it too.
Nice.
You know what I'm saying? Hot Gabbers we need to hear from you, Gabbers. I would like to know what ailments you have that you're not exempt from, even though you're hot.
Hot gabbers have a stimulator in their cervical spine controlled by an external remote.
Gabbers, they're just like us.
Let us know. And as always, rate, like, subscribe. We are so excited for this season. We can't wait for the next one. And we will see you then. Bye, everybody.